Hello, and thank you. This is Colors of Politics on RI Free Radio, and this is your host, Amy G. Today we're going to be talking with Justin Price from District 39 about his platform, his ideas, and some things that he's really excited to be working with and working about at the State House and this November 8th, Election Day, voting. Hello, Justin, and thank you.
Hi, Amy. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. Why don't you start with giving a summary of your platform, your most important issues, and what you want to be letting your district know the most about?
Well, I guess my platform would be to, basically to serve the people and what their interests are in state level stuff. I'm interested in parental rights, parental choice, anything to do with freedom, liberty, and
who isn't?
Right. So that's where I stand. There's more particulars, more specifics. A lot of times when we're up there, we're doing town stuff. The towns send some bills to us. Some issues, and then we create the bills and get the resolutions for town situations like the Charahoe Act. We had that amended to be more fair to the three towns, Charahoe, Hopkinton, and Richmond. So that was pretty rewarding. So
that was in regards to the seats, right?
Yeah. Yep. So that actually passed, and that was so that's.
Making sure to directly serve your particular constituents in your town.
Right, yeah, and that's mostly what happens up there. I'm seeing this, and then you get some bills that you can put in, and try to bring some stuff to the forefront, bring it up for discussion.
Yeah, definitely.
And I feel like that's important to get the public's input and bring things to light and.
Well, with Exeter and Richmond, and do you have another town too, or is it just...
A little bit of Hopkinton.
A small piece
like the
of
Hope Valley, Hopkinton area. Yep.
Okay. And so being that area, especially Exeter, is a lot of land, although most of it is Arcadia that the state owns, but there's all kinds of farms throughout there.
Right.
So, and then there is farm. You had stated that there was... I believe you have a bill that you having to do with milk raw milk cheese and that stuff. That's also farm related. So.
Yeah, that was a good one. It was also promoted by the. There was two bills. There was one from Representative Canario, and there was one from myself, and they really mirrored each other to so that you could produce raw milk cheese in the state of Rhode Island, which is it's a job creation thing, and it's it's everybody knows that fresh cheese from nectar of the gods milk is a good thing. It did pass. My actual bill didn't pass, but they mirrored each other, and they were modified to do the same thing. So.
Okay. So there was two different House bills, one that was basically exactly the same as yours, and the other one is the one that passed?
Right. They included sheep milk, and then in that early morning last session, they approached me to see if I was okay with removing sheep milk, which I was fine with that. So the bills would be identical, and they did pass. So now we can make raw milk cheese in the state of Rhode Island.
Awesome. Now I know in Connecticut you can actually get raw milk itself. Was there any discussion about letting the farmers have the actual raw milk, or was it solely just a whole point of focusing on the cheese?
I think it's a start. There's mixed reviews on, some of the farmers are a little skeptical about having the actual selling of raw milk, and some of the farmers are for it. So that's probably going to come up soon. Maybe not this session, but I think it's something that definitely needs to be addressed. Raw milk I'm a big fan of raw milk. I think it's very good, and healthy for you. So I would be a proponent for it, but there's always at least 2, maybe 3 sides to
every story,
to every story and situation.
Yeah, definitely. But continuing on that same topic, now there's also the DEM farmland acquisition. Did you want to comment on your thoughts and whatever you'd like to focus on in regards to that?
Well, yeah, the DEM, they were having a workshop which was being held on Wednesday. Opening
this coming Wednesday.
Well,
right?
it was actually being held Wednesday, the opening night of the 50th anniversary of the Washington County Fairgrounds, which was a great ceremony, and it's a great event. You know, it's been around for 50 years, but in some ways it changes, in some ways it doesn't, and it's just a real refreshing place to go.
Yeah, and they didn't cancel that meeting.
So they had the meeting, but they rescheduled a meeting, and it's the
7th,
it's,
right?
Yeah, it's
September
the 7th. Yep, and that's going to be held at the URI Grad School Oceanography campus down at 215 Ferry Road in Narragansett.
And anybody's welcome, right? It's a public
anybody's
meeting.
welcome. Yeah, we're going to try to get the farmers involved so they can have their input. State acquisition of farmland, you know, it kind of it doesn't on its face it really doesn't sound really appealing to me. I'm going to go there and learn more about it, as the other people will. I think that my personal feelings are to, you know, let the family farms give them enough help where they don't have to be acquired by the state, and they can flourish and continue to, you know, promote our rural community and
anything
have
where the state gets more of their hands in it is questionable. You never know what could come from that, and it's not always a good thing. One positive thing that they close out at the bottom of their fact sheet is it says there will be no use of eminent domain in the implementation of the program, which I know I had heard some people being concerned about eminent domain coming in playing a factor. So it's nice to see the defined line that that will not be a part of it.
Right, and these are just bullet points we're looking at, so we'll have to look at the actual documents, and when they point that out to me and can confirm it in the actual documentation,
in
that is
the implementation
law
process.
or right.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes things, you know, I have all respect for DEM. I think they're doing a great job, but you know, I believe in personal property rights and people owning their own property, and the state staying out of the, you know, our business, and the federal government staying out of the state's business. So it's going to be interesting to see what's in this presentation on September 7th.
It's at 5:30, right?
Yep, 5:30.
5:30, yeah. So anybody can attend that and have their voices heard, or just ask questions and learn more.
And I encourage as many people to show up, because I find that being up at the State House, the more people that show up, that it shows that the people are really concerned, and that's, you know, the voices in the people, and when the people show up, the people, you know, will be heard. And,
it shows that it's something to pay attention to. Even with voting, like this year's voting, the more people that show up, the more people that care, and then people want to be reelected, so they pay attention when people show up.
That's right. And we don't have to travel all the way up to Providence. We only have to go down to Narragansett.
Right? So good for Southern Rhode Islanders. But you had told me that you also wanted to bring a little bit of highlight to the 7478 in regards to the United Way and the House resolution for proclaiming the February 11th being United 211 Day. It's just the day for the February 11th, and and the United Way being a proclamation of how awesome it's done in Rhode Island at helping people, because all they have to do. You can say on air that I screwed up. It's okay.
I think there may be a confusion, but I think on its face, I think it's a great thing. I know we have a lot of papers on our desk here.
It's all right. I was writing down numbers that you were telling me that you wanted.
I very well could have sent you the wrong number.
Yeah, either that or I transposed it. Either way, it's a great thing for anybody out there that wants to. It's just basically saying that they're acknowledging how much 211 has helped. They've received 1 million calls of help, and they do things like find you a different human resources assistance that you need, or locating childcare. You can call 211 and just ask questions.
That's the United Way?
Right, United Way.
Yep.
211. You can just call and ask questions. So it was a day proclaiming is its exact words, February 11th to be United Way Day from here forward. Just acknowledging.
So this February 11th will be United Way Day.
Correct.
Way Day.
Just acknowledging that it's there for your help, and all you got to do is call to ask questions. 24/7, free for everyone.
Oh, that's great. They're a great organization. I don't know much about this, obviously, but
it's all good. I screwed up, and now we just found something new. No big deal. But I do see here the geoengineering, and Representative Macbeth and you put it in for the House Environment and Natural Resources Committee, and it looks like it's a brand new bill, correct?
It's the second year that it was proposed. It was,
but I mean,
introduced.
Brand new, that it's not like an edit of something that already exists. This is like start from scratch to introduce a new idea. Am I wrong? It's okay.
This is the.
Totally okay.
It's great to know that you're human, and I'm not the only one that make mistakes. I share that common ground with making mistakes with you. It's a bill that was introduced 2 years ago, and again this past session. It's an interesting bill. It's it addresses the geoengineering program, which is it's amazing how sometimes when you introduce these bills, how you get contacted from around the world about some things as you experience.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. It
really it addresses the.
I noticed that it
the way that
appoints basically you describe it as a governor, I think, not a governor, a director of, and the director has to approve and requests to be able to do anything in the state of Rhode Island that has to do with the geoengineering.
Yep.
And cannot even approve it unless there's a minimum of 2 public hearings. So it's not completely out of the public's eye. The public has the ability to participate in the knowledge and learning before anything would even be approved.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's definitely a good thing.
Yeah, it's crucial that the public be, when the public's in the dark, they tend to get, aggravated, and it's really imperative that we as representatives include the public and let them have knowledge of what's going on and where it's going, and a say as to where it's going. And the geoengineering program, there's some solar radiation mitigation that the government engages in, and that's all public knowledge. But I'm working with a Dr. Burns out of Berkeley, and I forget. Well, actually, I never knew the guy's name from the Netherlands. I just found out, and they're gonna, as they put it, they're gonna massage the language in the upcoming session. Just as long as I get reelected, I guess it's gonna hinge on that. So it's going to be very similar to the one that we have here in front of us, but slightly different in what they were also saying. reflecting on what you were saying, is they're going to have more public involvement in it and more knowledge to the public as to what's going on with the geoengineering program for
so involving
solar
everyone
radiation
in the
and
steps along the way before it even gets there.
Right. So that it's more out in the open. I mean, it's a program that's going on, and it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds.
Yeah, it's not a program that I know a lot about, but I did read it over a little bit today and try to get a grasp of it. And for anybody that's just tuning in, you're listening to Colors of Politics on RI Free Radio, and we're speaking with Justin Price from District 39. And this is your host, Amy G. And right now we're discussing some different bills and topics that were brought up last session and could come back next session. And Justin is a Republican looking to get reelected, representing Richmond, Exeter, and part of Hopkinton.
Thank you for that plug there, Amy.
No problem.
Actually, campaigning it's fun to going out there and meeting the people and seeing where their concerns are. So it's. It comes up quick. There's only a 2-year session, so
and then you're right back at it.
Your last 6 months you're campaigning, but it's a
lot
of work.
Do you notice any particular topic so far? I know you haven't hit every house yet, but do you have one particular thing that seems to be the most popular that is concerned in your area that people bring to your attention the most? Yeah,
people are really They want to have trust in their elected officials, and that's not really the case right now. They're,
not with
I could say that the majority of the representatives and senators up there have the best interest in mind for their constituents, and I am being one of those. I had to throw that in there, but. There's going to be in all walks of life, you're going to have a few people that are going to, they're going to take advantage of situations, and that happens. We just need to be vigilant and keeping an eye on that. And from the response I'm getting from a lot of people they don't really have a lot of trust in the politics.
Confidence in the State House, what's
right.
happening up
well,
there?
and in general, I mean, they're not releasing the Studio 38 results from the investigation, So that's that should be public knowledge. We paid for it. We paid for the investigation. We should know what's going on.
Yeah, it kind of seems like a common sense thing that we shouldn't even need to have a vote as to whether or not we get to know. We should just know. Our tax dollars are paying for it.
Right. Yep.
It should just be automatic transparency.
I do see the people in my district, and I can't speak for all the other districts, obviously, but the people are more engaged this year. They're asking more, they're more questions, and they're more knowledgeable. And
I've noticed periodic, not just the district, but just miscellaneous people that have never voted and have never even been registered to vote, and they're registering to vote this year just because of not only the Rhode Island's climate, but also the federal climate, and the combination has just brought a lot of people to be like, all right, it's time to participate in
right.
this.
Yep. I think the giant is awakening.
Definitely, it's a lot.
And the
of
giant
stuff.
being the people. The people are they're stepping up, and they're getting involved.
There's a lot more of us than there is of the representatives and senators. So ultimately, we have the numbers.
Yes, yeah, and that's what counts. And when there's a bill that's a controversial bill, the more input that the senators and representatives get, the more effect that it has, and voting citizens are absolutely recognized because they are given the input, and you recognize them as being someone that's needs to be recognized. So
and transparency and controversial brings us right into the bill, the 7476, to make the Department of Health more transparent, so they inform the public prior to vaccines being mandated, and they make sure that they have their meetings after being advised from the ACIP, which is that group is from the CDC. So that bill brought a lot of people contacting their legislators and supporting, and it brought in a whole conversation. You got in multiple newspaper articles,
I did,
and you're now, I don't even know if you know or not, that you're being recirculated because the information about that from last year, and when you came out and actually said last August that you were going to introduce making the Department of Health be more transparent before the session started in 2016, there was a newspaper article about it. And now there's another, there's basically been a reprint of the article online with a picture of you that has recirculated this August. So it's like the 1-year anniversary of Justin Price saying that she's going to make the Department of Health more transparent.
It's really flattering and humbling, really. And never thought that I was going to be into the, limelight like this, but, it's just something that really needs to be brought to light. If they're going to make something mandatory, it has to be, the public has to have input in it. The public has to be aware of it. And that's just like you said, it's just common sense.
Yeah, exactly. Everything should be transparent. And currently, the way it's written, they don't even have to inform anyone at all. They can just convene with their little committee and then mandate a vaccination, and we find out after the fact.
The day before school starts, they're going to say you have to have a mandatory vaccine. And I mean, where's it going to stop? We're going to end up like California, where they're sending students home. And another thing I was thinking of, we have 2 waivers, as we've all been through this. The medical and religious exemption. I think there should be 3 waivers. It should be, I read the insert and I don't want my child to have this vaccine because I've read the insert, although you have to blow it up 100% to read it.
I know, there's some tiny print on those things.
But I think that the parents should be made aware. They say your child has to have this vaccine, and if you don't want them to, here's two waivers. Don't keep them in the file cabinet behind the clerk's desk. Put them out and put them online. Put them on the school's website. Put them so that the parents know about them.
Yes, exactly. And that's one of the biggest issues that is in Rhode Island, is that nobody knows, because the school's letters are going home stating that this is mandatory, this is required, and then it doesn't tell you that you actually do have an option. And there is a lot of parents out there that have done it simply because they just thought they had to. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing it if that's what you want to do, but if you don't feel that it's the best thing, then you should have the ability to at least know what your options are. And the problem is that people aren't being informed what their options are. I can say that there is a couple of schools, like the Charahoe School, I believe, actually has the religious exemption somewhere on their website. So there's a handful of schools out there that do let you print it out that way. And the Department of Health, you can only find it on their HPV page. So if you're searching in regards to the HPV vaccine, you can find the religious exemption, but otherwise it's quite difficult.
You might have something to do with that, Amy, because you were really vigilant on this, and I applaud all you have done, and I think it's great that you're starting this radio show.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's awesome to get the word out there.
Yeah, I wanted to be.
I'm really honored to be a guest.
I wanted to be non-partisan and just let anybody from any district, any Democrat, Republican, any party, and say what it is they feel they need to say and promote and or ask about certain bills and whether they do or don't like it and etc. So as the session comes up next year too, we'll discuss bills on the show that come into being introduced and invite people that either sponsored them or even maybe somebody that's really against it and wants to come on air and tell us why they're so against it.
And that's the beauty of being up, at the State House. You have 75 representatives, and you get 75 different. Well, maybe not 75 different. You get a lot of different viewpoints on it.
75 viewpoints.
and hopefully that something good comes out of everybody's input. I guess I heard someone say that politics is at the end of the day, no one's really happy, but we've come out with something that's a good piece of legislation, and that's the best that we could hope for. And with your nonpartisan stance, I think that's great.
Yeah, I want to be able to. What my personal opinion isn't everybody's personal opinion. So I wanted to have the radio show just let people listen, and you hear and you make your choice. What is it that you like? What don't you like? What don't you agree with? But speaking of what you just stated, that you kind of maybe meet middle ground somewhere, or you don't necessarily go all the way. Like, I love the work that you do up there, but. On this bill, I want to see the Department of Health have to go through legislation so it's voted upon. Because in my opinion, just because they have a public meeting, the public can have a huge outcry and then they can still go do whatever they want.
Good point.
Nothing makes them necessarily change their opinion just because the public has an outcry against it. Because they are not elected officials. They get paid. They don't have to keep us happy. They don't get reelected in there, so they can just keep doing whatever they want.
And I think I agree with you. It's a very important topic, and it's affecting our children and our families. Some of this we deliberate and have in committees a lot of stuff that is not as important as this, and we're not doctors. And we're not pharmacists, but I think to have it
transparent
in the court of in debate in the committees and transparent, I think is imperative.
Definitely, it's something that and parents, and when a parent has a topic, any topic, whether it's a vaccine or it's a farm thing or it's a whatever, they're going to research the crap out of that. And so they can bring a lot to the table that the legislators don't necessarily know about, or the people lobbying to do something. They just know most lobbyists are paid to lobby what they're supposed to say. So they don't necessarily even know all the sides all around it either. Not that they're going to change their mind. They're getting paid to have what their comment is.
And that's why and that's why it's critical that people contact their representatives and actually go visit your representative. Show up at the State House, knock on his door. We knock on everybody else's door. If you got an issue, some of my colleagues are probably going to get mad at me for saying that, but we're there to serve the people, and the people need to know that they have access to their public officials, and they need to use it. Show up at the committees, have your voice heard.
And be persistent, because there is some legislators out there that make it awfully difficult to have the one-on-one time, but it is your right. They got voted in by your district.
Right.
So be persistent to get your time.
Yep.
Definitely.
Keep your messages brief, because sometimes we get so much stuff that it's tough to read everything.
Yeah, straight to the point. What exactly do you want to say?
That's my feel on it. But
all right. Well, this is our time now, and we thank you, Justin Price, for coming on and Colors of Politics on RI Free Radio. Screwed up my own radio show. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Well, thank you, Amy.